Are you self-employed? You might need to quit your job and start a vocation. Hey there, in this video, we're going to talk about a big idea, and that big idea is vocation. And I'm going to share with you why I think that understanding your work as a vocation will make your work more exciting, more profitable, and will give you a greater sense of purpose and meaning in everything that you do. Hey there, my name is Josh Friberg, and I am a conscious business coach. And what that means is that I coach self employed people who are looking to bring more attention and intention into their work and into creating a whole life vocation. Well, hey, what is vocation? So, vocation is a word that we tend to either understand in one of two ways. One, we understand it in the word vocational, which is usually talking about like the trades or some sort of training related to those specific types of work. But it comes from another word, or it comes from another sort of history, which is out of the world of the church. Actually, in the Christian world, there was the vocation of ministry, right? Someone would be called to the vocation of priesthood, something like that. But over time, developed another idea, which was what were called the ordinary vocation. And this was the vocation of living life really well as a blacksmith or as a baker or as a merchant, right? And this is maybe a little bit more about how we're going to talk about vocation. As you think about your life and your work, many times people fall into their work by accident, right? And what we've found, and the research is actually really clear on this, is that if you continue to view your work when you are self employed as sort of accidental, that you may have some of the lowest performance in terms of financial reward, as well as the lowest performance in terms of a sense of meaning and purpose and really achieving your life goals. In fact, the research on this is really clear that people who are self employed by choice, people who choose self employment and see it as kind of part and parcel to their identity, actually have the highest level of fulfillment in their work. Well, why is that? It's because vocation is such a powerful way of integrating our work and our life. And it starts by saying that our work isn't there just to earn a profit, right? And we've been told this now for decades, maybe even a century or two, that the purpose of business is to earn a profit, or the technical definition would be to earn a risk adjusted rate of return for the shareholders. But not only is that not true, it's also not sustainable. And want to hear a really dirty secret? It's actually in direct violation and opposition to the very definition of capitalism that people would hold on to as defined by Adam Smith himself. See, when properly understood, the purpose of business is to create human flourishing. It's to do good in the world. It's actually to make people's lives better. And so, whatever work you might choose, and I get to coach some of the most incredible business owners, small business owners, people who really have the self-employment vocation figured out, and their businesses do great things. The owner of the trucking company that I know that makes sure that small businesses in his community are getting the goods that they need in order to be able to serve their customers, in order to be able to serve, some of the nonprofits that serve their community. He delivers for them. Incredible work that he's doing. The home inspector that's keeping an eye out for home buyers who are nervous about purchasing a home, that insurance and financial services people that I get to work with, the real estate agents that I get to coach, all of them are doing incredible good in the world and causing human flourishing. This is what happens when we see our work not as just, oh, I'm going to do this thing to make some money. And don't worry, we'll talk a little bit about profit and the importance of it, but that I'm actually doing good in the world. And when we're doing that kind of good, well, then, yeah, we're going to earn a profit at the same time. And profit is a necessary condition of a business. It's something that's vital to the health of the company, because if the company is not profitable, if your self-employed business is not profitable, well, you're not going to be self-employed for very long. So the first thing we want to do for sure when we choose to craft our work, not just as a job, but as a vocation, is look for how it's causing human flourishing in the people that you serve, the customers, the clients that you serve. The second purpose of business, and I get this from Jeff Van Duzer, wrote a book about this, and talks about that the other purpose of a business is to cause human flourishing. And you really, what that is about creating the full self-expression of who you are, who you maybe feel called to be, who you feel maybe you are created to be. Now, we can see this most obviously when we look at maybe like an artist or a craftsman, right? And we go, oh wow, look at this beautiful table they built, and we just see the loving, woodwork that's done and the craftsmanship of it. Or we see an incredible, painting or sculpture. We go, wow, look at that expression. I would invite you, whatever your work is, if you have a roofing company, if you are creating apps to sell on the App Store, right? That you would think of yourself as an artist. Think of yourself as a craftsman. And what is the art that you're putting into the world? What is that thing that gives you a sense of fullness of self-expression in what you're doing? Because this gives such meaning and richness and texture to our work. The first thing that we want is to create human flourishing for those we serve. The second thing is we want an expression of who we are in the world, this thing that makes us come alive. That when we tell our friends what we do, they go, yes, that's so you. And this is what one of the great advantages of being self-employed is. It also means you get to live out that self-expression in whatever way you would choose, in whatever way you might pick, so long as it serves the community and that the market responds and says, yeah, that's valuable, we will help you sustain a profit with that. Well, then go on, continue to sing your song, to paint your painting, to put your art into the world. And the third reason that I think understanding our work as vocation is so important is because it is about a holistic life. See, in that old-fashioned way that the word got used when it was talking about, maybe somebody entering the priesthood, we recognize, oh, that's an important life calling, because it's not just about like, oh, that's the job they're going to do, right? Becoming the parish priest, in the 13th century, that was a whole lifestyle choice that went along with it, right? They would take vows of things like chastity and poverty and obedience, right? And so the parish priest lives in the parish housing and just has a whole different life 24/7. And we recognize that. Well, I want you to start thinking about, what does it mean to take on self-employment as a vocation, as a lifestyle? See, when we look at the research on self-employed people versus traditionally employed people, one of the great things about self-employment is not that they spend actually more time or less time at work. Some spend more, some spend less. The average is actually just a tiny bit less. But there's mostly that they spend their time differently, right? That they work different hours, that they actually average 21 more minutes of sleep a night than the traditionally employed, that they choose maybe to take care of household things more, that they choose to do some of their errands during different times of day, during non-rush hour times, to be able to do that. And that self-employment allows us to have a little more autonomy in how we spend our time. And so we can choose to do the other parts of our life that are part of our vocation in a way that is integrated in a holistic way with our work. What does that mean? Well, for me, I know that looks like during this season of life, the age that my kids are, it means that I get to do actually more of the driving than I might do if I were traditionally employed. It means I get to participate in my daughter's homeschooling a little bit more. It means that I get to choose to do some of my workouts during hours that other people might not be able to because of the nature of their work schedule. It also means that our family can maybe vacation differently because of that, or even that I can go choose to work outdoors when it really makes sense to do that. You see, vocation means that I have the opportunity not just to build a business in alignment with my vision and values of that business, but it means that I get to create a whole life in alignment with this vision that I have for a life. This is why I describe self employment and the vocation of self employment as the work of an artist, as the work of a craftsperson, because it's a whole life calling. You know, vocation is such a powerful way to understand the opportunity you have with self employment. And maybe you got into self employment by accident. And that's okay. That's great. You're here now. My invitation for you now is to choose self-employment and to choose it as a vocation. As I'll go so far as to say to view it as a sacred calling, an opportunity to craft a whole life that is 100% by your design and your desire to do it in alignment with this vision you have for your work, for your family, for your community, and for how you spend your time on this earth, right? Not to make it too big, but instead as an invitation to do something great that allows for human flourishing, that allows for that causes the full expression of your humanity and the people that you get to lead, whether that be your team members, your employees, or your vendors that you work with. And that your work is just one facet of one beautiful holistic life that you are creating. And listen, if you would like to hear more about the vocation of self employment, take a second to subscribe to this channel and to like this video. And I'd love for you to also take a second and comment below, what is your vocation? What is the good that you are putting out into the world? And how is it a part of the incredible holistic life that you are creating? One where you are productive at work and present at home. Hey, as a bonus, this conversation actually started with a Zoom call that I had with Isaac Hovitt about a month ago. So I'm going to tack on that conversation to the end of this video. It's really how we got started thinking and talking about vocation. I will tell you that the video quality is a little bit low, but you may enjoy it. It was definitely for me a moment when I got to live out my full expression in sharing this passion I have for vocation for those of you that are self-employed. For more, oh, and I was like, I know what it is. It's field notes for self-employed.
Yeah.
And I think the big idea that I'm forming around is the idea of the vocation, right? To grab that big or that bigger idea, Christian idea of what vocation is, which is like
Yeah.
life calling, of which work is one part.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah. And so like here's where I'm really thinking. I think our calling is to craft a life, right? And so some people, when we think of like the old-fashioned word of vocation, it's going to be, oh, the person who's called to the priesthood, right? And so that
Right.
vocation includes like celibacy and poverty and obedience and all of that. Like, how would you do that? You're like, because it's a beautiful, wonderful, dedicated life.
Yeah. Right.
Just as the vocation of marriage is. Like, the vocation of marriage is not just being married. The vocation of marriage is a full orbed, holistic life of which like marriage is a part, of which work
Yeah.
is a part, of which parenting is a part, of which being a neighbor, of being a churchman, of being a like, and so to craft that mosaic of interrelated duties and activities is a beautiful thing. And then what I'll add is then, and I think self employment is a unique expression of that,
Wow. Yeah.
because you don't have to look at me. You can look at the road while you're driving. It makes me
I'm
anxious when you look down.
I'm still like in the park. I'm still in the park on a tiny little driveway. So
Okay.
when I get on the
But
main road, I'll heed
and
your
you
warning.
have this going in your life right now too, right? Which is you have 100% time autonomy.
Yeah.
Whereas if we work at the factory, it's like about 100 decisions got made for me when I made the choice to take that job.
Yeah.
And when I am self-employed, I have to make every one of those 100 decisions.
Yeah.
And I can choose to make those in alignment with my values or alignment with other values, and I have to wrestle with the competing values that I hold and how I might prioritize those or fail to prioritize those. Like, and I think that ultimately that ends up becoming a sacred calling. Um, and I'm trying to figure out what language I want to, like how churchy I want to make the language around it.
Mm.
Um, but I think it's really like it's just a lot more valuable than most business coaching, business, people talking in this space. It's
Yeah.
all it's only about um profit, make more profit, and then eventually it's like, well, and then once you're rich enough, you can talk about work-life balance and realize that you
Mm.
spent 20 years being completely disordered.
You're this is so good.